Good evening, everyone. This is your evening news recap, your nightly news podcast on all the news that I come across throughout the day, giving you my take as somebody who aspires to be a politician in the near future. Hopefully, are you guys doing wonderful? Hopefully, are you guys doing well? Today is October 15th. We're halfway through October, and it is also Wednesday. Hopefully, all you guys are having a wonderful week so far. Hopefully, all you guys had a wonderful day, whether you're going to school, whether you're going to work, whatever that is. Hopefully, you enjoyed it. Outside of that, though, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. All the support would be greatly appreciated as we are trying to hit 500 subscribers by the end of the year. We're going to do it. We're going to get it done. We are 90 subscribers away on YouTube. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. All the support would be greatly appreciated. And if you're on Substack as well, please also consider subscribing. All funds go to me. They'll make pay for the things that I need to pay for in college, like my groceries, like clothing, like all of that. But if not, you can always subscribe for free. I truly do appreciate all forms of support on this content. And with that being said, let's get into the news from today. Moving on into the Trump administration segment, as we do, the first topic we have today is Trump has authorized a covert CIA action in Venezuela. The Trump administration has authorized the CIA to conduct lethal covert operations in Venezuela. According to the New York Times, operations will be extended elsewhere in the Caribbean as well. And the agency may take action against Nicolas Maduro and his government, possibly as a part of a larger military operation. According to officials, the ultimate goal is to remove Maduro from power. The Trump administration is continuing its series of escalations, with planes flying over the coast of Venezuela, one even drawing a penis with flight trails, and the continued striking of boats within the Caribbean. Whatever happened to no more wars? That was something that this administration campaigned on. They said, Donald Trump said, there will be no more wars when I'm president. Yet this administration is striking and attacking people left and right, at home and abroad. Not to mention the reports of every boat being attacked in the Caribbean have been linked to civilian fishermen and not drug traffickers. Also, not to mention the fact that it is an act of war and a war crime to blow up another country's boats in the middle of the water. We are actively committing war crimes here. Genuinely, we are. This is an act of war, and any conflict we do see is just an expansion of American imperialism and a ploy to take control of the massive oil reserves in Venezuela. There's a reason why Americans, holy stutter there. There's a reason why, American political leaders are so upset that they don't control Venezuela. It is because they have so much oil there, and it is one of the very few countries, out there that America and, the elites and the rich of America do not have their hands stuck into when it comes to massive oil reserves. In the Middle East, different question. A lot of countries are connected to the United States, and a lot of countries, are providing their oil reserves to the United States and corporations for the United States. But that's not the case with Venezuela, and that's why it's so disliked within the US government. Of course, there are a few other reasons, and there is a lot of connections between the Russian government, the Chinese government, and Venezuela, which also doesn't help when those are essentially the enemies of the United States. But one of the biggest reasons is we don't control their oil reserves, and that's something the politicians want, which shouldn't be the case. We should not have to control every country's oil reserves in the world. In other news, a judge has blocked Trump from firing federal workers. A federal judge in San Francisco has blocked the Trump administration from firing federal workers. U.S. District Judge Susan Ilston, however you say that, I am sorry if that's pronounced incorrectly, issued the order blocking federal agencies for layoffs pushed by the current administration. Ilston said the administration was acting without thinking, going on to say, it is very much ready, fire, aim on most of these programs, and it has a human cost. It's a human cost that cannot be tolerated. This is great news because it protects the jobs of thousands of people who already will not be able to find jobs in a terrible job economy that is being created and not solved by this administration. I mean, there are still less jobs available than there are people unemployed in the United States. What's Trump doing about that? Jack fucking shit. This Trump administration has no reason to fire these people other than their own self-interests and just to make the government harder to access. Genuinely, that's what it is. This protects the jobs of so many people who serve for you to make your lives easier. Something the Trump administration is actively working against. They do not want to make your lives easier. They do not want to make things cheaper for you. They do not want to protect you from diseases or issues and all those things like that. That's why they're firing workers from the CDC. That's why they're firing workers in the education department. That's why they're firing so many workers that genuinely benefit your day to day life for their own self interest. And they claim that it's, to cut government spending and, to, lower the national deficit. We just sent 40 billion to Argentina, bro. We're sending billions of dollars a year to Israel. I can promise you that that's not the case. And we'll talk about that in a second here. But the Trump administration here is firing workers to negatively impact you, plain and simple. That's what this does. This isn't about, lowering the national deficit or, doing things to make the government more efficient. This is about negatively impacting your life and making resources less available for you, which should be seen as a problem. It really should. In other news, journalists are turning in their access badges for the Pentagon. Dozens of reporters are turning in their access badges to the Pentagon rather than agreeing with the new government rules to impose restrictions on the reporting when it comes to the US military. News outlets from CNN to Fox News have unanimously rejected these new rules imposed by Pete Hegseth that look to punish journalists if information is released that is not approved by Pete Hegseth. Pentagon reporters walked out together at 4 p.m. carrying boxes of documents, chairs, books, and old photos to the parking lot as around 50 journalists left handing in their badges. This absolutely sucks because it will limit information available on the US military and the actions within the Pentagon as a whole, which is a huge attack on, journalism and, getting information out about this country. It really is. Not only that, but it attacks journalists' rights to share information about things that are happening in this country, which falls under the First Amendment. This is an attack on the First Amendment, plain and simple. It's great to see that these journalists are sticking up for themselves and speaking against this administration. Like if Fox News is doing it, that's how you know it's bad because they are Trump's personal PR team. They really are. So that's how you know that this is a bad set of rules because even Fox News is upset with this. This is a massive problem. It is a full on attack on the First Amendment, just as we have seen throughout this entire administration. And I know people in MAGA like to claim, oh, Biden attacked the First Amendment. Biden attacked, all this and attacked free speech and all that. That is simply not the case. And even if you want to bring up an argument, the Trump administration is doing that at a million times worse of a level than the Biden administration could have ever fathomed. Genuinely, could you imagine if the Biden administration was doing the same things that the Trump administration was doing today? MAGA would be up in arms. They really would. Genuinely, they would be up in arms. And the fact that they do not care when the Trump administration is actively doing it themselves is proof that it doesn't matter to them when people they like and people they believe that are helping them, when they actually do not help them in any way, shape, or form, are doing the things that they are doing. Doesn't matter to them because it's Donald Trump. Really, like that is the state we are at this country, which is a massive problem. The fact that people idolize a politician that much is a massive problem and should not be the case. Anyways, the State Department is revoking visas for people who commented on Charlie Kirk. The State Department has announced that 6 people have had their visas revoked for making insensitive comments about Charlie Kirk. These people, none of which have been named, came from Argentina, South Africa, Mexico, Brazil, Germany, and Paraguay. In a post on Twitter, the State Department wrote, "The United States has no obligation to host foreigners who wish the death of Americans." The State Department continues to identify visa holders who celebrated the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk. Where is the support when it comes to children dying in schools? Genuinely. Or when it comes to mass shootings that essentially happen really every day in this country, The entire Charlie Kirk situation is standing proof that the right and people in MAGA have the mindset of it does not matter until it affects me, which is a problem. There's no compassion for the people around them. There's no compassion for your neighbor, which is, something these MAGA Christians should have, love thy neighbor. But hey, whatever. If people in MAGA and the right gave half the empathy that they did when Charlie Kirk died to the children that are regularly, and I mean regularly, shot in schools in this country, we might be more of a peaceful country. Genuinely, we really might be more of a peaceful country if they give half of the empathy they gave for Charlie Kirk to these children. But hey, let's drop everything to go after everyone who doesn't get on their hands and knees for a podcaster, because that's more important than children dying in schools, right? Sure. No, it's not. Anyways, moving on into our other news segments. The first topic we have today is the No King's Day 2 is set to be one of the largest protests in American history. The No King's Day protests this weekend on October 18th look to be one of the largest protests in history, with millions of people attending these protests in thousands of locations across the country and the world. According to USA Today, 2,500 events are scheduled in the United States, which is higher than the 1,800 events from the last No King's Day protest in June. When asked to comment on this, the only thing the White House spokesperson Abigail Jackson, had to say, "Who cares?" But clearly millions of Americans care enough to go out and protest on their weekend. If you plan to attend these protests, please do not go on and, go to the No King's Day website and sign an online form saying you are there. I feel like that should go without say, but unfortunately that is not the case. And also, please do not tell people on the internet that you are going to be going to these events. Also, make yourself blend in, make yourself look like the people around you. Wear all black clothing without designs, wear a mask. If you have tattoos, cover them up. If you don't have tattoos, wear a fake tattoo sleeve or something. Is it important to go out to protest? Yes, 100%. But the only people who should know that you are protesting is the people in your life, in person, around you. Genuinely. Nobody else needs to know. This isn't about flexing that you went to a No King's Day protest. This is about making a statement and using your voice against the current administration that is attacking the rights of everyone who lives in the United States of America. Also, do not bring your phone to these protests. Genuinely, I cannot say that more. Please do not bring your phone if you attend a No King's Day protest. Genuinely, please do not. It does not matter if you think tracking components are disabled. Trust me. Please trust me. They will still be able to track you with that phone. Genuinely, there is no getting around that. It is important to protest, but it is also way more important, a million times more important, to protect yourself and to make sure that at the end of the day, you are safe. Uh, you, know, it, you know, it is very possible that this event will be used to invoke the Insurrection Act. And in fact, if I was a gambler, I probably would bet on the idea and the fact that that is probably going to be the case. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. Genuinely, please, I hope I'm wrong. But I would not be shocked, and I would probably bet on that being the case. Which is why it is extremely important for these events to remain peaceful. Take a page out of Portland's book and have fun with it. Dance. Maybe wear a costume or something. I don't know. If you can cover your face, do that without a doubt. Have fun and stay peaceful. And if anyone, and I mean anyone, starts causing trouble around you while you're at one of these events, move your ass in the other direction. Do not stand around. Do not try to stop them. Do not try to get involved. Move your ass in the other direction. Without a doubt, there will be federal agents in these crowds, just like every single event there is. Even January 6th had federal agents in the crowd. And I guarantee you it'll be the same here. So do not risk anything. Protect yourself and make sure that people don't know who you are. Plain and simple. Someone asks your name, sorry, bud, don't know you. There is no reason to put yourself at risk. It is important to protest, but it is more important to keep yourself safe. In other news, the Argentina bailout has doubled to $40 billion in American taxpayer dollars. One day after Trump celebrated the $20 billion bailout with Argentina's president, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has told reporters that the U.S. is working on expanding that by working on a $20 billion facility that would be adjacent to the $20 billion that has already been given to Argentina by Trump. The intent is to salvage Argentina's economy and save the presidency of one of Trump's international allies, President Javier Milei. Hold on, because this is absolutely fucking bullshit. Whatever happened to America First, Donald Trump? That was one of the things you campaigned on. You said, we're gonna put America first. I gotta stop doing that impression. It hurts my throat way too much. Do I have water? Nope. Fuck it. We ball. Okay. Anyways. Holy shit. Holy. I'm okay. We're going to go get a sip of water. But we're going to walk this way. I don't have water. We got Red Bull. Whew. I got to stop doing that impression. It hurts my throat every single time. Anyways, this administration campaigned on the idea of putting America first. They said that we are going to put the United States of America in front of everyone else. But you're telling me, rather than spending $40 billion on infrastructure for the United States and to put America first, Trump is sending that to his ally. You're telling me that we, the American people, cannot have government programs like Obamacare, like all the things that the Trump administration has cut through Doge. But Argentina gets $40 billion. You're telling me that money can't go to things like healthcare, things like, paying for Americans to go to school, paying our public school systems, maybe raising the wages of teachers, maybe raising the wages of thousands of federal workers who get paid jack shit. There are so many more things that are a million times more important to the American people and to this country that we could be putting that $40 billion into. Yet, we are spending it on Argentina. Don't even get me started on the fact that we pay for Israel's free healthcare. That's a whole other ideal. I mean, we spend billions and billions of dollars on that country yearly, which should not be the case. We should not be sending that much money to any country, But the hypocrisy is insane. Our taxpayer dollars should be going to programs that help the American citizens. It should not be going to other countries around the world to benefit their citizens when people in this country cannot find a job. They cannot pay their rent. They cannot afford to buy a home. They cannot afford to buy their groceries. They cannot afford to live a livable wage or get a livable wage. I mean, the majority of Americans in this country have 2 to 3 jobs. 2 to 3. And around the world, you know how many jobs people else have? 1 on average, but not in the United States of America. And that is a fucking problem. And that is not being solved by this administration. Genuinely, people should not be working 2 to 3 jobs to pay their rent and to buy their groceries. People should not be working shifts longer than physically okay just to pay their bills, just to buy their groceries. It is disgusting that that is the case. And the fact that the current administration, instead of helping that, instead of benefiting the lives of the American people who are struggling, we're all struggling. We all can barely afford to live in this country. And if you don't think that, come on, dude, wake the fuck up. Genuinely, we are all struggling. We have all noticed how gas prices have gone up. We have all noticed how most homes cost $1 million fucking dollars these days. We have all noticed how grocery prices have gone up. I mean, eggs are still $12. That's more than the federal minimum wage. Yet the Trump administration is doing nothing to benefit the American people. The Trump administration is doing nothing to make our lives easier. Instead, they send money to Israel. They send money to Argentina. What are we doing? Genuinely, the things that they campaigned on, they're not even sticking to. And yet people still support them day after day. Anyways, moving on into our final topic for tonight, the US passport is no longer in the top 10 most powerful passports in the world. The US passport has dropped out of the top 10 for the world's strongest passports due to the policies of the Trump administration, making it the first time in 20 years of the Hellenic Passport Index that this is the case. The United States is now tied with Malaysia at 12, which provides visa-free access to 180 countries. Because Haley counts multiple countries at each spot, there are now 36 countries that outrank the United States in passport ratings. 11 years ago in 2014, the United States held the number 1 spot, and now in 2025, it doesn't even hold a top 10 rank. Some countries that have more powerful passports include Singapore, South Korea, Japan, Switzerland, Austria, Malta, Croatia, Canada, Latvia, Iceland, and so many more. That's not even all the ones in each category. That's one selected from each category. This does not shock me at all. I'm going to be flat out honest. Not shocked. I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to drop the way we're going. I mean, let's be real. The United States is not at the top of globally supported countries anymore, especially with the current administration, and especially after Trump's push away from European allies. I mean, people do not like Donald Trump in the political sphere. I don't know if you guys haven't realized that, but world leaders do not like Donald Trump at all. Genuinely, they do not like him. I would not be shocked if we drop out of the top 20 in 7 years from now when this administration is over, because Donald Trump is running this country into the ground. He really is. People cannot afford to live here. People cannot afford necessities. People cannot afford to live a normal life. And this administration sits there, jokes about it. You know, they boost policies that help the richer class. Where are the policies that help the Americans? Where are the policies that, make groceries cheaper? Where are the policies that, make it so Americans don't have to work 3 jobs? People should be able to live a normal life in this country. And the fact that that is not the case, the fact that people are working themselves to death just to barely scrape by is depressing. It really is. With that being said, thank you everyone for watching this video. Don't forget, I'm running for office. So Bray 2030 will be their state representative, as soon as I graduate college. So stick around. That's what this entire page is for. We're building momentum. We're trying to, build a political platform. So, stick around if you're interested in that. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. All the support would be greatly appreciated. We're trying to hit 500 subscribers by the end of the year. I believe without a doubt we can do it. I really, really do. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. We are literally 90 away from 500. Let's get it done. It took us a month to get from 300 to 400. I'm sure we could do that this month too. And if you're on Substack, please also consider subscribing. All funds go to me. They help me pay for the things that I need to pay for in college, like my groceries, like all those things. Life is expensive, and this is a viewer-supported program, so all the support would be greatly appreciated. And with that being said, thank you all for watching today's video, and I will see you all